Alrighty then, one of the most controversial subjects for people who have canned for some time is whether or not to leave the rings on their jars when they store them. I will never leave a ring on my jars after I have processed them for the proper amount of time in a recipe and left them sit out for 24 hours, and then after I take them and wash them in hot soapy water. This ring will never go back on one of my jars after that. And the reason is, and most of your books say, remove your bands. They call the ring a band, right? If it's left on the store jar, it can be more difficult to remove and it can rust. More importantly than that, moisture behind this can certainly begin to rust. Let's say that this green bean jar gets bacteria and it needs to pop off this cap. If bacteria built up in this or tomato sauce, what would happen is, and you will hear this when you've canned for many, many years, you may lose a jar in the back, okay, happens to me, and you'll hear there's a distinct sound to a lid popping off. This lid can pop off if it's got bacteria, microorganisms, whatever it is that happens in our canned food. It can only pop off and let me know, and you will smell it walking through your pantry, if I did not have this ring on it. If I have this ring on this jar, it will keep this lid from popping up. It will then seal itself. That bacteria can go deep into your jar, and when you open it, you ain't got no clue that happened. So I will never leave a ring on my jar. I need my chicken stock, my green beans, my tomato sauce, everything that in the event there is an issue, this lid can freely pop up. I know that I follow approved recipes. I know that I vent for the 10 minutes my Presto canner suggests. I know that I use the proper headspace, that my products were clean, my jars were clean when I put them in, and my lids are good quality lids. So don't risk a false seal, which means this can't pop off if it needs to, and this product pop up the lid. Get in the habit from the start of taking your rings, books call it bands sometimes, off of your jar. So I don't care if you wash this after processing, you dry this good, and you screw this back on. The reason you don't want it on there is if this lid needs to pop because something is in this jar, something's happened, and it needs to make that lid come off. Do you want that lid to come off, or do you want a year from now, go to open this, have a false seal, use your opener, and then your family consume that product? So I am 100% behind. Take this ring off. Ain't ever gonna be one on something in my pantry. It will on something that I'm using a jar with an old lid for a dehydrated product. I certainly use that, but not for anything I have water bathed or pressure canned. Don't lose your mind. This serves you no purpose on there. Just because your mama did it, your daddy did it, your great uncle did it, don't mean you got to do it. And also remember that food science has changed. Tomatoes are less acidic, for an example. We now need to add acid to them, right? Sugar content, pectin, because we've gotten away from heirloom varieties. I cannot plant heirlooms here. I have prehistoric bugs, okay, that the first year I planted all my saved heirloom seeds, my garden was an absolute disaster. Okay, so I'm with more hybrids. So I accept that food has changed, right? We also, not only has food changed, we live longer now, right? We're not canning questionable things or with other, questionable methods. So, no rings on my jars for me. And I will show you a picture of a very unpleasant product when a tomato product popped a lid. You'll be glad that that ring was not on there and the lid popped up and it could be smelled by the person this happened to. Just say no to leaving rings on your jars. Canning 101, be safe. And again, when you look at your book, here is your section. Remove your screw band, the ring, remember some call it a band, for reuse after processing and the jar has cooled. It's all right here in your book. Easy peasy, science is done for us.